Hello and welcome to episode 1412 of The Sleeper and the Bust. It is Tuesday, May 6th. I'm your host, Paul Sporer, joined this afternoon by Justin Mason. Justin, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. How we doing?
Doing all right, hanging in there, trying to stay dry here in Austin, Texas. The heavens have been opening up all week so far. How about yourself?
We have the exact opposite problem. It is getting hot. Today's not too bad. It's like 76, something like that. But we hit like high 80s yesterday. And so if you're ready for Sacramento to start warming up,
yeah, it's coming.
It's coming. This Friday is supposed to be the first 90-plus degree day. I think it's supposed to be 96 degrees in Sacramento. So if you want to see how that's going to play with their new stadium, quote unquote new stadium in Sacramento with the A's, Friday's the game to watch.
It's going to be wild. Yeah, we did not have the normal temperature drops that we have, so it's actually really disgusting outside. A lot of times in the spring when it rains, the temperature at least drops 10, 15 degrees, so it doesn't feel as bad. But now when I am letting the dogs out on the rare instances, like when they just have to go so bad because they both hate the rain, it's that muggy nastiness. And so, yeah, we're getting into that part of the year. But we got lots to talk about, so enough with the weather chit-chat. Let's dive in. We got some news and notes I want to go over, a little bit of fab discussion, following up on some of the players that you guys talked about on Sunday. Ask about somebody that was hyped up in spring that I know you weren't in on. And I wonder if it's time to declare a mistake, even only 5-6 weeks in. And then some Texas maneuvers. They moved on from somebody, and the guy who's going to replace him is coming up. Is it time for him to finally be a stud? But I have to ask if we finally are getting what we've been chasing now. We've been chasing the dragon for quite some time. When was that fateful season from Mr. Ryan Yarbrough? It was back in 2018. So for about 7 years now, we've been trying to put anybody that we think might be a 3 to 4 inning guy in the middle of the game. Be like, can they be the next Ryan Yarbrough? If you don't remember, folks, Ryan Yarbrough pitched 38 games. Only 6 were starts, and he was a follower, getting an opener very consistently. And because of that, he was able to go 16-6, despite otherwise modest output. 3.91 ERA, 1.29 WHIP, but he was in the middle of games for a solid Rays team. They went 90-72, and so Yarbrough piled up the wins. And we've had brief moments here and there where guys look like they're going to do it, but nothing quite like that until now. Maybe. Ben Kasperius, a big waiver pickup this week. You guys talked about him. Got an opener, and it went brilliantly. Jack Dreyer opened. Kasperius got his 4 innings in the middle, picked up a win. I mean, again, Yarbrough did this on a solid Rays team. He's on the Dodgers now. Is he still with the Dodgers? I actually don't know if he is still with them. I don't think he is.
Yarbrough. No.
He was with them last year.
Yankees, I believe.
Yankees now. Okay. But anyway, so he was with the solid Rays team doing that. Kasperius, of course, now on one of the best teams in baseball. And if he can do it, I mean, he could put up a 4.50 ERA and pile up the same kind of wins as Yarbrough. But it turns out right now he's been even better. 2.81 ERA, 105 WHIP, 28 Ks and 25 2/3. Are we going to get our dream? Because this is twice in a row now, 2 outings in a row where he comes in the second, pitches 3 2/3, and then 4 innings, once against the Pirates, once at Miami. So 2 very easy outings so far, but he's been absolutely dominant. Do we have Yarbrough 2.0?
I think we could.
Did you get him anywhere?
I didn't, no, unfortunately. Had him on my waterfall, and I think towards the top of not really towards the top of my waterfall, just because I'm mostly looking for saves right now. So
okay.
I had a lot of Kevin Ginkel, Shelby Miller, guys like that. And then looking for power. We'll talk about Kobe Mayo here in a minute. So yeah, I didn't get him anywhere. I'm excited though. Eric had a great breakdown. If you haven't listened to Sunday's pods, and
I've not yet because of the aforementioned rain. I usually catch y'all on a walk on Monday or Tuesday, but we have been homebound because of the aforementioned weather there. Go ahead on Eric's breakdown with Kasperius.
Yeah, I mean there are some things that are really, really interesting about him, but he's also one of these guys that I don't know how well he's going to transition into like a full-on starter. So I kind of love this, being a follower. If this could be money in the bank, if he is a guy that just comes in, does 3-4 innings after a follow or after an opener, and just takes advantage of the fact that Dodgers are going to win a crap ton of baseball games. This is a nice little cheat code. And if
maybe they have the same
leagues,
concerns that they're thinking like, hey, we can't quite get a full start here, so let's go ahead and do this. Now, I was able to get Casparius in one of my mains 2 weeks ago on 427, 22-21, and I should have bid him in both, but I was stubbornly holding Chase Dolander for an extra week, which, by the way, that ended up being a good start. I talked about how I accidentally started him. I didn't really want him to go against Pittsburgh in Colorado. It ended up going well. I paid $58 for him, and it shouldn't matter. Like if the numbers aren't there, you shouldn't be hung up on how much you paid. But I held him one extra week, so I didn't go for pitching. And Greg Jewett got him $14 unopposed on April 27th in my other main event. So hats off to Greg Jewett. Huge surprise that he was in on somebody who made their hay in the bullpen there. He's always on top of it. But then, like I said, in my other main, I did get Casparius, and so far so good. I'm really excited here. And this 3 to 4 innings might be perfect for him. If he can't quite turn over the lineup several times, then doing it 1.5, 2 times in the middle of the game after Jack Dreyer or whomever else opens might be perfect for him. Let's move on to Kobe Mayo, because you were in on Kobe Mayo. You talk about how you needed power, and he looks like, that's the one thing that you feel really comfortable that he's going to bring to the table. He got scooped up in 50 main event leagues, but you were among 4 people who went triple digits on him, and the backups weren't close to y'all. 167-27, 151-26. Yours was 147-19, and the other was 137-57. If you had told me before on Sunday, hey, I'm going 147 on Mayo, I really need power, I said, I get it. You need power, triple digits, okay. What's going on here? Why were the bids so low on him? Did we miss something? Are you getting the jump on people and you just had to pay extra for it? How do you feel about your Mayo bids after seeing where they all went? Because all the other ones were $75 and cheaper, including 3 leagues that got him for under $20.
Yeah, and not just my main event. I also did it in one of my big money auction leagues, and the same thing happened.
Same thing happened? Wow.
I got Mayo for 133 in that, and the backup bid was $30.
Jesus, I'm seeing now somebody also did 128-1.
Yeah,
in the auction championship.
I'm surprised. Now, I guess I shouldn't be as surprised as maybe I am. The part that really pisses me off is there were a couple other leagues where I bid on him and I didn't go as big. And those were the leagues where the other people went big. Like
of course. So you didn't get any of the cheap versions.
Yeah.
You only got the expensive ones with no strong backup.
Yeah. And so like in Barf, I went $47 and and Jake Crumpler of Pitcher List went $77. And
freaking Jake. Jake's the one who looks like Bowden Francis, right?
Does he?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think he does a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I think you're right. So I'm just trying to think of what Bowden Francis looks like, honestly.
He was like Jake Crumpler.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense. So
that clears it up for you.
Yeah, exactly. So it was frustrating. I guess I would rather it be like this than what happened to me in Barf where last week where I bid like 337 and Greg Smith went 338.
Right.
So because at least I got the guy.
That's
and
exactly
I was willing
it.
to spend that amount. I guess people are just afraid that he's going to get sent back down.
That's it too, because I think Westberg is fielding and kind of knocking around on the field before games right now. So he's working his way back. And I do think that might have put the pause button for some folks, because as we talked about in the offseason, the Ryans are going to play. O'Hearn and Mountcastle, while they're healthy, like people want to keep pushing O'Hearn out of the lineup because he's 32 and he doesn't feel like a star or whatever. Baltimore is committed to him. They're not going to push Mayo above him. So if Westberg is coming back soon, then it does mean that Mayo could be a quick up and down. Now, I imagine you would hold him. How long you think you're holding at that point? If he went, let's say he goes down.
I don't know
after
if I
next week. Okay,
honestly,
you might jump.
I'm a real believer in like there is no cost associated to a player that I can't use, right? Like if it doesn't matter that I spent 147 bucks.
It's already spent.
It's already spent. Like I can't get
Okay.
it back. My hope is that he shows the power that he has shown in the minor leagues, and the Orioles need that power right now, and they figure
Can he
something out.
pitch? Can Kobe Mayo pitch?
Probably better than half of the Orioles pitchers right now.
True. It certainly can't be worse.
Yeah.
So in the minors, he ripped 6 homers with a 131 WRC plus. He was doing his thing. He's doing his Kobe Mayo thing. He is still just 23. So while he's been around for a while in our consciousness and had a little sample last year, he could quote unquote flop this year and still just be 24. Like we're not in like any sort of dire situation.
Yeah.
Of course, that almost makes it worse for you then because they can be patient with him without it being egregious.
Mm-hmm.
So are you nervous then?
No.
Push come to shove right now. Are you nervous? Are you comfortable with what you bid? And you said,
I'm
hey,
comfortable.
Okay.
I took the gamble. I knew it was a big gamble, but I need the power. Like I on both the teams where I ended up with him and spent the big money on him to get him. I need the power. And like my main event is literally fighting for its life right now.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to fall too far behind, right? It's early, and we always talk about how it's early. And we always try to caution and calm people down about it being early. That doesn't mean that nothing matters. You still have to be mindful of where you are in the standings. And if you fall too far behind, it doesn't matter how early it is. There just might not be enough time to catch up. Like for me, in my other main, my second main, saves is getting dicey. I've got Bautista, and that's it. And as we've talked about with this Baltimore team and their pitching, they're not winning. So you normally, if you have just the one super ace reliever, if he's getting a bunch of saves,
you'd be fine in my main because one guy has like 5 closers.
Yeah, we were talking about that team where he drafted like 4 starters in the draft.
Yeah.
And has all these
he drafted 5 starters in the draft. 3 of them were starting the year on the IL, and
Insanity.
and one of them is just making their way back right now in range with Suarez.
He's in second place, but he spent $700 last week, and I don't think he got his money.
Not well. No. He's not gonna be in second place for long.
I don't think
so. But Jacob Young stolen base. You're so fast.
He really is. At least he got on base there. A nice single. Okay, let's move on to our next topic here.
Yeah.
It is about 6 weeks in right now because it's more than a month because it's a little of March as well. So we'll call it 5-6 weeks. So it's only 31 innings for this guy. And I'm always the patient. Let's wait. But I'm kind of ready to say yes on this one before I even ask you the question. Is it time to call Sandy Alcantara a mistake? He moved up the board quite a bit during spring because he looked excellent. And even though, we even while we were pumping it up, and I say we as a show, I'm not lumping you in because you were out from the jump. I want to get you off the hook right away. But you were saying this is dangerous. But even as we were moving up the board, he ended up 121 on average in the main events with a min of 88. People were taking him inside the top 100, Sandy Alcantara. We were saying, hey, this is still a TJ returner, but boy, does he look good in spring. 16% strikeout minus walk. The velo was there. He wasn't walking guys at a 7% rate, 6.7 to be exact. And I even started to fall for it. And I'm an off the TJ returners type, but I started to get excited too. Now I don't have him anywhere. I have him in one league. I think TGFBI. So I do have him in one spot. So it's not like I got all this investment. I don't have all this buyer's remorse, but I was part of hey, we're moving him up. I think I ended up with him in my top 60 by the end of spring. And even though it is early, I'm ready to call it a mistake and take a mea culpa on Sandy Alcantara. Where do you come out now? Again, you weren't in from the jump, but as you're looking at it from the 30,000-foot view of everyone else over drafting him, and I had him top 50, 48. Is it time to call it a mistake?
So, no, it's not time to call it a mistake.
Look at you letting me off the hook.
Time to call it a mistake was back in draft season.
Oh, damn it. Never mind.
Yeah, it was a mistake from the get-go. It was absolutely
it really was. It really was.
I know you're not a parent, but you have parents, right? So, and you ever have your mom or dad be like, that line you're not supposed to cross, it's behind you.
Right. Right.
That's where we're at with Sandy Alcantara. It was just a bad process mistake.
It was.
And I understand, Nick had a tweet where he was almost trying to it wasn't even about Sandy Alcantara. It was about other quote unquote healthy guys, the Logan Gilberts of the world, that people are like, well, we can't project innings, so like, why are we like pushing these guys that maybe don't have as good of skills higher up? And like Sandy Alcantara is one of his examples of guys that didn't fit what he was trying to talk about. I think we have to talk about things in terms of degrees of safety, right? No pitcher is safe. Like there are going to be pitchers who just get hurt. There are going to be pitchers who just flop, right? Like that all of a sudden like lose their command and control, and maybe not even injury related, right? That like we thought were safe. Right, exactly. Like Tanner Bybee all of a sudden like went from this guy who's got good command and control to a guy who can't figure it out. But we have to at least acknowledge the fact there are degrees of safety difference between guys. And maybe you're willing to take the gamble on a guy like Sandy Alcantara or a guy like Tyler Glasnow because their degrees of safety may be lower, but their degrees of upside are higher. And
I got to separate Glasnow from Sandy though, right? Because Sandy is coming off of his TJ this year.
Yes.
And as we always beat the drum.
I'm just saying and talk about
sure. I just want
risk within a draft.
Okay, go ahead.
When it comes to pitchers. I think that I am more conservative than a lot of other people. But I think that's the right play. And when we're talking about TJ returnee guys, like the history on them in their first season back is not good. There are very few that come back and are amazing. I'll
give you the TJ returners, but I still won't concede on the Glasnows, the Crochets, and the DeGroms of the world. Because Gilbert blows that up, doesn't he? Don't Gilbert and Kirby blow that up? Yes, they do.
Every pitcher has risk. Like
tons of risk, and that's been my whole point.
If we're saying the guys like Gilbert didn't have any risk, everybody would be taking him in the first round.
But that's kind of how you treated him.
I didn't take him in the first round.
Not in the first round.
I didn't take him in the second round.
I don't think he would. I think he would go where he went. He was 24th overall. Logan Gilbert was. I think he went there. Now, listen, I also want to be careful on Gilbert because I think Gilbert is remarkably talented.
Yeah.
And I don't think.
Well, and I think that is the other part of the argument that I think gets left out of like Nick's tweet. No, I'm not picking on Nick.
Same with your guy too. Loop in your guy, the other Logan Webb. No, Logan Webb gets pushed into this too as like we're pushing up some scrub. No,
we're not.
Logan Webb's a badass.
And that's why I had a really big issue with drafting Alcantara, with drafting McClanahan, with drafting Spencer Strider. It wasn't that you were drafting them. It was where you were drafting. It was the guys you were passing up on them. And now Strider may come back because this is a hamstring injury. We're not.
Hey, so much. Worried. Sorry to interrupt you, but I got to on this one. So much for that triceps injury not being too bad on McClanahan, huh? What the fuck was that news?
Or Kirby only being out for a few weeks,
right. And I fell for the Kirby thing.
I fell for the Kirby thing too. Yep, where he just threw his first 3 innings,
and he was supposed to be back in April.
Yeah. So
and even as that's what bothers me too. Is like I know. It's like when you make a mistake that you willingly know that you did.
I do it every year. I'm the anti-injury guy, and I do it every year. It was Garrett Cole last year. It was George Kirby.
I remember, the Cole thing. I reference Jason every time. I say, guys, Jason Collette always tells us, add to the timeline. Whatever timeline they have, it's bullshit. Add to it. And I do it, and I do it, and I do it. And then I see somebody like Kirby, and I see he's going in the 10th round, and it could still work.
We're all human.
I know, you're right.
And honestly, well,
except for Phil Dussault. And I say that lovingly. He's
but like analysts, like we because our job is to analyze, like we overthink things. And
also true.
We can easily talk ourselves into things we probably shouldn't, even though we're the ones telling you not to do it, right?
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah, absolutely, right? It's like, like I work in a therapy type field, right? And like a lot of the people that you deal with as therapists are much sicker than the clients you're going to deal with, right? Like they're not taking their own advice; they're just giving good advice. So, but I think that this year was a really interesting year.
Yeah.
In terms of the amount of talent that was available coming off of TJ. We haven't seen that since the Verlander, Syndergaard,
Yes.
year, but that didn't pan out either. And we need to be better historians of the
Verlander
fantasy.
did, motherfucker.
He didn't pan out the year he came back, did it?
Didn't you win the Cy right off of it, or was that 2 years?
I think it was the year after, but I could be wrong.
No, it was the year. It was the year after.
Yeah. So
21. No, 21 didn't play. 22 won the Cy.
Oh, okay. So
It was right off it. He's a unicorn though.
But
He's a unicorn.
and so if you want to make the argument that Spencer Strider is a unicorn,
sure, but not where he was going. Back to your original point. Spencer Strider. Now, and I know for those that are already typing up a message, I know he got hurt playing catch. I'm not.
And it's a hamstring thing. Right. Like I said, he may come back and be
great.
Great. But again, I don't think that excuses the thought process.
Yeah. He went min 34, Spencer Strider. Min 34. So, yeah, I am ready to declare Sandy a mistake, regardless of what he does. I'm not going to come back around and say, no, it's the process of where you drafted him, what we did in the spring. It was a mistake. And here's the thing, too, that really should have been the easy way to push off, even if you wanted to get excited about the talent and say, maybe he won't have the command issues because he's Sandy Alcantara. He's a command and control god. And his win potential was non-existent.
And that was the thing for me with Sandy was, like, at least Strider, let's say Strider comes back, or McClanahan comes back, and they're healthy, but they still struggle with the command and control. At least you're getting strikeouts and you're getting wins.
Right. You're not getting that with Sandy.
And so, like, I felt like Sandy was the easiest one to avoid out of all of them.
You're right.
Because, like, hey, he has to have that. If he doesn't have that, he's screwed. Who is he? And I mean, I think he's screwed at this point. Like, I think
he's screwed. And
I do think he will get better as the season goes on.
Sure. Well, he can't get worse, or else he's going to go on the IL.
But, like, the whole idea, like, he might get traded to the Yankees. They're not trading for this.
Cubs ain't trading for him right now, and they need anything. Baltimore and the Cubs right now, I don't think either of them would want to trade for him right now.
No, you're going to wait till next season. I'll be in on him next year when his price drops.
Same.
And I do think he will get better as the season goes on, but I don't think it will be good enough where he's going to work this off.
No, I am with you. He's on my TG. Like I said, I got him in TGFBI, Sandy Alcantara. I did start him because of the 2-step, and I had to get the White Sox start. Yeah. Well, my pitching sucks there, so I had to do it. Oh, yeah, I have Snell. This isn't all pitching, but I have Snell, Hayes, and Josh Lowe on the IL. So my IL is full, and I didn't want to start Gavin Williams against Philly, so I took Sandy's 2-step there. But, yeah, it was a mistake. And if you jumped on board because you heard my dumbass promoting it, then I'm sorry. But we ate it together. And that's one thing I always say. And if at least some solace in the fact that if you listen to something I did, I usually did it too. I don't send people down the river by themselves. So if you ride with me on somebody that flops, I got them too. So I
only send you the river down by down yourself when I just miss out on Cedric Mullins.
Yeah. But you send us down the river with 7 paddles for Cedric Mullins and then left yourself without
I'm all like, enjoy that free lunch I gave you guys.
Guys, come back and get me. All right, let's talk Texas here. And we got Texas directly and then a guy that they got rid of to clear the space for this guy because things have gone poorly there. And did you know they had an offensive coordinator? I know we've been seeing some different roles these days than the standard hitting and pitching coach.
Was he the Browns offensive coordinator? Because that's how it feels.
Right. And those jokes were coming through name your least, the crappiest NFL team you can think of. Is like he couldn't offensive coordinate for that team. But yeah, Donnie Ecker was their offensive coordinator, which I think they still have a hitting coach too. Again, I think they've got a lot of different jobs and different titles now, but they had to move on from their offensive coordinator because things are going very poorly there offensively. We know Jake Berger got sent out. Don't mean to open up that wound on you. We've talked Marcus Semien and his grave struggles. Outside of Seager, Langford, and super utility man Josh Smith, there ain't much positive to talk about. It has been rough there to the point that our longtime boy, who's only 26, he's very much like the guy I'm going to comp him to, Leody Taveras, got DFA'd to potentially clear the space for Evan Carter. So I want to talk Evan Carter before we talk Leody because he did land, and I'll spoil that he landed in Seattle, and I'm going to, of course, comp him to Victor Robles. But let's start with Evan Carter, who I love, and I overdrafted last year.
Yes.
he is down in the minors, still not doing that well. I'm trying to figure out where the hype was coming from because everyone was getting super giddy on him this week. And again, I love this player. I am rooting so hard for Evan Carter, but this is one where I can separate my fantasy brain or my fantasy heart from my fantasy brain, where I'm like, I still wasn't going for him because I'm not seeing the juice in the minors. 3 homers, 6 steals, sure, but 221, 333, 416, and he's not even up yet. The idea was that the path is cleared.
I think he's coming up.
Okay, it was made official today.
Yeah,
so,
I think he's coming up today. Yeah.
I guess they didn't play yesterday, and that's why.
Yeah, they were
okay. Okay, so he is officially up and everything. He's going to play in center, bat 7th. Is he ready to make an impact?
I mean, I don't think so. At least not the kind of impact I think people are expecting him to make. I mean, he was hitting.
Could the AAA numbers be out of boredom? Perhaps. I'm not saying it is. I'm just asking the question. Could it be one of those things where he's like, I'm just kind of biding my time? I mean, is he good enough to do that, though?
I don't know that he is good enough to do that. And I think the big issue with Evan Carter is, has he yet figured out how to hit lefties? Because
I'm not sure he has.
And I don't know. Like, I haven't seen splits from him.
I got you right now. No, absolutely not. One for 16. Small sample, but horrendously bad.
He hit 111 against them last year. So
this is 063 with 7 punchies and 3 walks and 19 plate appearances for Carter.
I mean, I assume he's just going to be on the strong side of a platoon.
Right. Right. With with Pilar. Just a straight up center field platoon.
Yeah. And then you add in the fact that he's had kind of reoccurring back issues, which don't tend to get better as you start to age. Now he's 23.
And he's only 22
or 22. Yeah, 22. So like,
but that's scary if he's already got
if he's already got a degenerative back issue. Like, I don't know.
So I take it you weren't bidding on Evan Carter this week.
Wasn't even in my waterfall. Like, I mean, like that.
Honestly, same. And again, I say this as somebody who loves the player. I'm hardcore rooting for him still, but I just didn't see the juice right now. And maybe I'll be proven wrong and I'll be cheering him along all the way if he is popping off, but I don't see it. Now, in fairness, neither did the other main events that went for him. Evan Carter was not terribly expensive. He went as high as 57 with a 44 backup. So that's perfectly solid bidding there. A couple more in the 40s, a bunch in the 20s. So yeah, he was pretty cheap in the main events where he went. And several people got him for single digits. So I don't mind taking a single digit gamble. I will say that for sure. In fact, I think the current leader in the main event, Ben Tidd, got him for $4. The second lowest one, somebody got Evan Carter for $1. So I don't mind it that price
there.
point.
Yeah. Right, no, like, I mean, if you're throwing a few bucks on him, like
why not?
I don't think I was even like in the market for an outfielder necessarily. So
when he doesn't answer your power questions either that you had in the other leagues.
No, he doesn't. I just don't know that there's. And I think this is the interesting thing in fantasy, because sometimes with prospects we just give them unlimited chances. Jared Kelly, right? And then
you give unlimited chances,
and it feels like Evan Carter is starting to be one of these guys where people are just getting hyped over and over.
Wait.
I'm not saying
a little early for that.
No, but I mean, they're
put him in the Joe Adele Kelnick class, right?
I don't know that it is. I think he could be a decent strong side bat.
And this is when my heart comes back in, and now you're come on. He's only 22.
I mean, how much different is he than Nomar Mazara?
Well, different makeup, profile,
but a strong guy who could never be anything more than a strong side platoon guy,
right?
That dealt with injuries and didn't have a huge enough carrying tool in anything to make up for the lack of plate appearances from the platooning. From
that comparison, that works, but I don't think Nomar Mazara knew that if you took 4 balls, you got to go to first.
That's fair, and at least Carter does walk. I mean,
and that will help his real life value at least maintain a certain level. I'm being a little harsh on Mazara. 7%, while not good,
and Carter is also a very good defensive player when he is healthy, right?
Yes, Mazara was a modest corner outfielder.
From a from a fantasy perspective. Not,
Yeah.
I don't expect him to be out of baseball by the time he's 27.
No,
but
I hope not.
I don't think he's ever a fantasy superstar unless he figures out how to hit lefties.
Let me ask you this then.
And consider
as we transition over, yeah, I absolutely agree. As we bring Leody Taveras into the mix here, because he got claimed by division rival Seattle, who is absolutely popping off right now. You know, they're second in
this
WOBA against
offense.
righties.
Remember, we're all like, "Oh man, look at all this pitching they've got. They should trade it for some hitting." And now they have no pitching.
Yeah, their pitching is decimated by injury, and their hitting is going crazy. And folks, I'm here to tell you, it ain't just Jorge Polanco. He's been a big part of it, but it's Polanco, Raleigh, somebody named Leo Rivas, who's apparently not a congressperson, JP Crawford popping off, Randy Rosarena's bounced back. Even like they haven't even gotten much from J-Rod or Luke Raley, and they don't need it because those other guys are carrying the weight. So as those guys slow down, the improvements of J-Rod will kind of counterbalance that, and they could continue to be great. So they pick up Leody Taveras, who gets DFA'd. Are they just chasing that Victor Robles lightning in a bottle again because they lost Robles? And do you think that they can find something here with Leody? I've been a longtime fan. He's shown glimpses here and there. He even went 12 and 23 last year, which isn't terrible for the homers and steals, but he came with an 82 WRC plus, 14 the year before with a 100 WRC plus, and that was at age 24, and that's where I got hyped. 2023, I'm like, okay, coming into 24, this is something that Leody Taveras can build upon, and he just didn't really build upon it. Again, he had more steals and about the same homers, but the slash line got even worse. And then so far this year, he had a 68 WRC plus with 1 homer, 6 steals. Does he find the magic elixir again in Seattle the way Victor Robles did, or is he just going to be a fill-in piece because they have Robles and Dylan Moore on the IL?
I mean, he could, but I'm not betting on it. And maybe this is the problem. Like a guy who can make as much contact as Leody Taveras can, like, why couldn't they get more out of him?
Right.
And part of the problem was he's trying to lift everything, and he just doesn't have the power to do anything but fly out when he does that.
Yeah. He
has a launching goal of 22.6, which is
Dylan Moore's back, by the way. I should just point out real quick. He had the minimum stay, so he's back.
I mean, I don't know if Taveras is going to be much more than kind of reserve fourth outfielder like he was in Texas. I'd love to see him be more than that.
Yeah. We didn't expect Robles to pop off the way he did. So it would be a surprise if Taveras followed. And I'm only comparing them as alluring young power speed center fielders. Like they don't have direct one-to-one comparisons beyond that. And I probably wouldn't have made the Robles comparison if the same team hadn't picked him up.
I think the problem is he's at best he's probably looking at like a short side platoon role with Miles Mastrobuoni. So
that's not a real guy. You can't just make up guys, dude.
It is. I just traded for him in a league.
No, you didn't, and that's not a real guy. Stop it.
I traded a pitcher for him in my 30-team 100-man dynasty league.
Did you trade a congressman or a pitcher?
I traded a dude that we used to love in Carlos Carrasco, who then was DFA.
Wait, you got DFA? Oh, you are a swindler.
Yeah.
You little swindler. I mean, all you got was Miles Mastrobuoni. So
it kind of sucked too at the beginning because like I literally traded him. I was talking about this on Twitter. Literally traded him because this is a massively deep league, right? Where like
30 teams,
100-man rosters, like you're not picking people up off of waivers. Like if you are, it's like the random dude that just appeared out of nowhere. But like I had 6 starters and I was like, I don't need 6 starters in this league. Like I really just need 5, and I've got Eflin coming back here soon. And like literally traded him, and the next day lost Walker Buehler and Ryan Feltner. I'm like, oh well, now I have. So now I don't feel as bad for making that move,
right?
Considering
because you'd have lost you'd have lost Carrasco.
At least I got Mastrobuoni as a.
So are you picking up Leody anywhere once he's established and situated there? Okay,
unless when he actually. Is on the team, they say like, hey, Mastrobuoni's going to go back to being kind of a bench super utility guy, and Leody's going to play every day. But I just don't think that's going to happen. I think Mastrobuoni's good against right-handed pitching, and and I think they will platoon and then use Leody Taveras as like a defensive replacement kind of did.
And they've only got a lefty today, and I don't even know if Leody is situated and ready to go today on May 6th when we're recording this with Seattle, and then no other lefties until next Tuesday when, full circle, Ryan Yarbrough is currently penciled in to pitch for the Yankees. We don't know if he's going to get that start, but that would have been Carrasco's spot. Okay, let's move on to our main topic today. We're going to talk strikeout and walk rate improvers. We talked it with hitters last week. We're doing pitchers today, and we're talking these two categories specifically. Of course, they are the core of everything. I love all the advanced stats. They're great. They help color things. I like looking at them, but at the base, give me strikeout and walk rates first and foremost. Let me know what's going on with both of those categories for hitters and pitchers. And if that's all I can have, if I can only get one or two stats, those are the first two I want, strikeout and walk rates. And they start to stabilize relatively quickly. 120 plate appearances or batters faced for walk rates, and 60 on the strikeout side. And we're well into that now for guys. In fact, I think some guys are pushing even 200 at this point. So let's go ahead and dive in. Yeah, in fact, nobody's quite at that high yet, but we're in 208 for Severino, a handful in the 190s, but everyone's at least over 137 that is in this sample right now. So let's start with our strikeout rate improvers, and we got a guy who's got a massive improvement right now. Mackenzie Gore. We've talked a bit about him a little bit already this year. He just continues to get it done, and I know you're kicking yourself. I'm not bringing it up to twist the knife on a guy that you've loved, but you didn't get invested in this year. He is up 12 points to a 36% K rate and 7% walk rate, which is 2 points better than last year. He's been amazing this year. What do you think of Mackenzie Gore now that we check in again? It's been a few weeks.
Yeah, I mean, part of this is a new pitch, right? Like that is getting strikeouts. So I'm kind of wanting to believe this, but I also feel like Charlie Brown kicking the football with Mackenzie Gore, where
man,
he's had moments.
Strike. I mean, yeah, everything's there right now.
Everything is there, like you said. Like the string strike rate is up. The O swing is the best of his career. He's allowing the least amount of zone contact of his career, and it's not even close. He's been an 84 to 85% zone contact guy every year in the majors. He's at 78% zone contact this year. And he's also going out of the zone 3% less, right? Or he's going out 3% more. In spite of the fact that he's actually first pitch strike rate is up. So he's doing such a good job of getting people to chase out the side of the zone because he's just mixing better than he ever has. The stuff is better than it's ever been. Yeah, I do kind of buy this. Now, I kind of know it with Mackenzie Gore that as soon as I buy in, I'm about to get hurt again. So he's
still getting murked on the BABIP, and this has been a career-long thing. And he usually gets pieced up with line drives left and right. And he isn't leading the league again this year the way he has been over the course of his career, but he's still pretty high at 22%, Mackenzie Gore. That ranks 17th in the league and probably even higher when you start to factor in ties. So there is still that one little fly in the ointment, but there's so many great things going on that he's able to work through that right now. So even the 343 BABIP is not killing Gore.
I think the only thing I don't really believe right now is the walk rate. I do think that walk rate is going to come up.
Okay.
I mean, he's currently got a 2.54 walks per nine, but like in a 7% walk rate, he's going outside of the zone more. And maybe it's just because like hitters can't figure out what he's throwing right now that they're willing to trace. But
if they start spitting on things, I think it could trickle back up into the 9-10% that we've seen from Gore throughout his career.
But that being said, like we'll take that with the strikeouts.
Absolutely. Like that, he can give some. He's at a 115 whip right now. This is a guy who's consistently in the 140s. If I told you it's a 125 whip, while that is still a little high, you'll take that with a quality ERA, a ton of Ks, and decent win probability. He's only 2-3, but it's not like Washington can't get him some Ws.
Yeah. I will say that, like, if he does start doing what he did last year, which I thought was tipping pitches,
Yeah, we
he could
talked
be in
all summer about those troubles with Gore.
he could be in some pain because he's giving up uh pretty close to the hardest contact of his career. It's the second highest barrel rate, highest hard hit percentage of his career. And so, like, if he does, when people do make contact, it is loud contact. So if he starts tipping pitches again, then yeah, this could all fall apart really, really fast. That being said, like, I'm not saying go sell him or anything. I actually think you ride this out for right now.
Yeah.
But just be ready to jump if he starts having a couple bad starts. And he is dealing with an ankle issue right now. So he didn't
Did he get hit by a comebacker? Is that right? Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else.
No, he was just I believe he just tweaked his ankle.
Okay. Okay.
Like running to first or something.
He gets St. Louis this week, and they've been playing well, but obviously that's an easy start. Trip to Baltimore next week does not bother me. Like, yeah. Gore plays everywhere all the time right now for me.
Yeah,
like,
I think he's a must start guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're going to do strikeouts today and walks Thursday with Joe, because we went a bit long on the news there. So because of our time constraints here, we're just going to focus on the strikeout guys. Let's get into another guy that we have talked about a few times this year, but again, it merits revisiting to kind of see where we're at. And this is a Marlin that you did like. While you were out on Sandy, you were in on Max Meyer, because he wasn't coming back from his TJ. He had made that comeback last year, got 57 innings of modest work, but got it out of his system, so to speak, right? Kind of navigated through that. His control was fine, but his command was pretty terrible, with a 2.2 home run rate in the 2024 sample. This year he's back, 28% K rate. That is a 10-point improvement, excuse me. Walk rate still solid at 8%. Home run still a little bit of an issue at 1.6. I imagine that was probably exacerbated by the last outing against Oakland.
It was just the last outing.
Okay, like, there you go.
I mean, if you cut off that last outing versus Oakland, where he just got shellacked, he had a 1.06 homer 9.
See, we're still in that zone where one multi-homer start, and this was 3 homers against the Athletics. We're still in that zone where it can totally.
He'd given up 4 home runs all season before that.
Okay, so basically doubled his season total. So he's been excellent, and that wasn't a great start. Now it is back-to-back 5 earned run outings, but it was Seattle and Athletics, and both those teams are hitting pretty well right now. So I'm not even going to crush him for that. I know it feels weird to say, that's why I'm smiling, but like, I don't even hate on him too much for that, because those teams are hitting very well. Where you at on Max Meyer now? 7 starts in on somebody that you really liked coming into the year.
I mean, I still really, really like him, and I buy everything here. I thought he was a really good pitcher before he added the slider, and now with the slider, he's just a phenomenal pitcher. Now, the stuff doesn't show up as really, really good. He's actually got a 95 stuff plus, but his sinker is a 105 stuff plus. Changeup is 100. So right there, league average, but it's the location plus at 107.
Yep.
That is really, really intriguing. I do think the strikeouts probably come down. Swing strike rate's about 13%.
That's still +3 from last year, though.
It is. But like he's a guy who does allow contact, right? And he can, because he's in Miami, where that park is going to save him when he does allow hard contact. So I do think that, he's probably a mid to high 3s ERA guy.
Okay.
But I think you are going to see him be probably around a 25, 26% strikeout rate guy.
I think that.
And, he's not going to necessarily have the best whip, but I don't think it's going to be as bad as it has been so far at 136. I think that comes down as well. So, yeah, I think he's going to be really, really good, especially as a 15-team play. But I think in most 12s, he should be, a guy. Like, if someone is ready to, like, kind of ditch out on Max Meyer in your shallower formats, like, I'm picking him up.
Yeah, after those last 2 starts, if somebody gets cold feet, I would also jump in on Max Meyer. He gets a Chicago double dip, which includes at the White Sox this weekend, but then at the Cubs the week after, and I don't love that one. I would be careful there. It's aces only against the Cubs for me right now.
Yeah, I'm probably not starting him versus the Cubs outside of 15-team leagues where I don't really have other options.
Right. I think that's totally fair. All right, continuing on here, we move to the aforementioned Logan Webb. And I didn't mention him earlier just because of this, but, one of the things that always bothered me about promoting him as, the volume guy as a stud was people say, oh, It's just the volume that you're getting. I'm like, no, this is a good pitcher. And I know he only had a 21% K rate last year. It was down, and he's never been this high, 29% right now. And that's part of the deal here. And I didn't have him down for an 8-point improvement up to 29, but he doesn't walk guys. He keeps the ball in the park. Like, there are real skills here. And now he's adding some strikeouts to go with it. The swinging strike rate is up from 9 to 12%. 3-point gain is pretty substantial. Can Logan Webb maintain these strikeouts? Is he doing anything here that you buy into to hold this strikeout improvement?
Now he did have a change last year towards the end of the season where I believe it was his slider. He kind of changed the grip on it.
Okay.
As a way of trying to get a little bit more movement and trying to get people to chase after it a little bit. And it seems like it didn't really work at the end of last year, but it's working now.
Yeah,
I don't think he's going to be a 28% strikeout rate guy or 29% strikeout rate guy, but I do think he's going to be above like his 22% strikeout rate for his career. I think
I'll take 24, 25 all
yeah,
day.
I think 24, 25 sounds about right. And when you add that into the fact that this is a guy that like not just doesn't give up home runs, he doesn't give up fly balls. Dude has a 21% fly ball rate. Like in that part,
2.5 ground ball to fly ball rate, which is massive for those that don't know.
And plus that defense got better, right? They've got Chapman and Adames, right? I think this is a guy you're wanting to buy. Like, I'm okay buying high here on Logan Webb. I think he is going to potentially, he's never going to be a good whip guy, right? Because he allows so much contact. But I do think that Logan Webb could be a guy that maintains this sub-3 ERA the rest of the way. Like,
I don't know. Like, so far it hasn't. He has a 352 BABIP, and so the hits are up right now. But if that left side defense, highlighted by Chapman and Adames, kicks in, maybe he can be a good whip guy because he has been in the past. 107 back in 2023. Now it was 123 last year and 120 this year. So to your point, Logan Webb has not been delivering the whip the last couple of years. But I think if things got going, even as the strikeouts come down, maybe the whip comes down as well if he starts allowing fewer hits. Maybe. But we would need to see that.
He just allows so much hard contact on the ground.
Right. And like on the ground, it skitters through for base hits.
And it's easier to hit the ball hard on the ground, right? This is why, like, everybody's like, oh, you look at Yandy Diaz if you could just lift the ball. Like, not everybody can lift the ball.
Not that easy.
And maintain. Like, it's a much easier fluid motion to, keep that, high exit velocity on the ground. So I do think that he will probably be, like, at best, like a 115 whip guy, but you'll take that if you've got a sub-3 ERA. Like,
all day.
You just find a Bailey Ober kind of guy to pair with him. Like, if you and just kind of print money.
Yep.
So I love Logan Webb.
Same. Very excited about these improvements here and eager to see how he continues this year because he was definitely somebody I was very keen on. Let's talk Griffin Canning. Now, he was one of these spring standouts. He's gotten off to a good start. But, where do we go from here? It's like when you get through that first month, it's awesome, but there's still so much to go. And it's like, okay, is it something where the league's going to start to figure them out, or can he get it done? This was a really difficult two-step on the slate for Canning this week. He had at Arizona last night, and then he has the Cubs this weekend. And I just got done mentioning how you really only want to do aces only against the Cubs if you can help it. But with a two-step, I had to run Canning. So I definitely ran him. First start, so far so good. 5 innings, 1 run, 6 punchies against the Diamondbacks. I should mention plus 7 points, up to 24% strikeout rate. Are we buying in on Canning? Is it finally coming together here after 52 years of buying him with the Angels? Am I finally being rewarded for my unending love of Griffin Canning?
I don't think you are. I think you're getting really, really lucky. I've watched about half of Canning's starts so far this year, including the one yesterday. And dude is just the king at stranding runners right now. He's got like an
87%.
Yeah, like it's unreal. And it's been like bases loaded jams that he's gotten out of that he shouldn't have gotten out of. Multiple
Maybe
times.
He just has the will to win. Did you ever think of that?
I didn't, and I hope he continues because I love Griffin Canning. I don't think I have him anywhere. Actually, I should probably double check and see if I have him anywhere. But like, I love Griffin Canning, and he was a dude that I just kept going. I kept going back to the well on him, and he just keep getting hurt. And so of course now is the year I don't have him anywhere, and he's going off. But no, I mean the xERA is like 395. He 87% strand rate, getting a lot of ground balls, letting his defense kind of playing him out. But like I don't really buy this strikeout rate.
He's a 139 whip, we should point out, with the 250 ERA for Canning. So like that doesn't match.
Contact. Yeah, in like he's allowed 87% zone contact. Swing strike rate's up a little bit from last year, but it's actually down from where he's been in his career. So
would you try to sell?
Yes, absolutely.
Let's try to find some names here and see if I can get you on something that you might be interested in. Try to go for some hitters here. I mean, there are pitcher challenge trades, but let's just see real quick.
I got a pitcher challenge trade today from someone in the industry.
Let's hear it.
Our friend Frank Stamfel, who tried to trade.
Oh, love Frank.
He offered me Bryce Miller straight up for Robbie Ray in Tout Wars.
You get Bryce?
I would get Bryce.
Are you taking that?
I didn't.
Oh, I would have.
Bryce Miller scares me a little bit right now.
And Robbie Ray doesn't?
Robbie Ray, at least the last few starts, has been filling up the zone and stopped walking guys.
Okay, that's positive.
I was very close. I was much higher on Bryce Miller coming into the season.
Right. That's a good offer there.
It was a good offer.
That's a thinker. That's a thinker right there.
Okay. Well, there are times where you get challenge trades like that, and you go, I really like Frank, and I respect his opinion on things. So why is he offering this to me?
Oh, he's too smart.
Yeah, like I don't want to deal with certain people, especially on if he had offered me a hitter, like, if he'd said like, oh, hey, take Bryce Miller and give me, and give me this hitter, or I want Robbie Ray, can I give you a hitter? I'd probably do it. But it's sneaky when it's a challenge trade like that, and it's with someone who you respect and is smart. When it's someone who's like, you don't respect, you're like, yeah.
Name names. Who you give some names of who you don't respect.
Yeah, let me run those lists down for you. We don't have enough time, unfortunately, today for me to give you that
would
list.
You take? So let's go back to Canning here. Would you take like a JJ Bleday? 4 homers, a steal, 226 average, 105 OPS.
I think you need more. I think you need more back.
Okay. Are you sure with the 140 whip? I don't know if you can get Michael Bush, so I won't say him. Colt Keith is on fire. Now, he's been worse than...
that's what I want. I want Colt Keith. I want Colt Keith.
You want Colt Keith, right?
Yeah.
3 straight homers going into Colorado. They got canceled today, but they'll play a doubleheader. What about stay with the Tigers? And I don't know if you can get this done because it depends how much people are going to look at the ERA versus the whip for Canning. But what about Glaber? 4 homers, 4 steals, 291 average. That might be too hot. Someone might not. But if they got a bunch of offense and they do believe in Canning and they think he can whittle down the whip, maybe they'd be interested. I don't know. You're not gonna get the moon for Canning if you sell him. But I think you can get somebody pretty decent.
I might do Bleday. If I could get Bleday in like a smaller piece,
okay,
I might. Yeah, I think I would do that.
Well, what about Max Kepler?
No,
you don't think Kepler's better than Bleday? I like Bleday a lot, but I think Kepler's better. Would you take an injured Austin Hayes, who's been amazing, but he's currently hurt for the second time?
He's coming back Friday, I think. Right?
Yes, but he's not back yet.
Yeah.
Do you think you can get that deal done? Is that even realistic in your opinion?
That's a really good question. I think you can get more offensively back for a pitcher just because there's so many pitchers hurt.
Pitching's so hard to get. Yep. So many hurt, so hard to get that you might be able to get a little bit extra juice.
I would do Hayes. I would do that. I would try to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think, again, if you got the pitching depth, you landed on a bunch of depth, Canning's available, you could realistically trade him. See what you can get because he's got 5 wins, a 250 ERA, and 37 strikeouts in 36 innings. Yeah, he's got a 139 whip. And don't be afraid to acknowledge that in your trade talks. The thing people don't like is being sleazy. Don't try to pretend that he doesn't have an awful whip just staring us in the face. Talk about it. Say, okay, yeah, no, I see the whip here. It's a problem. So the ERA is probably going to go up. but he's piling up the wins. He's got the Ks. Are you interested in a mid-rotation guy here? Don't try to sell him as an ace, because then people are going to know you're bullshitting them. I like to just be straight up in my trade talks, because I think beating around the bush and trying to scam. And listen, I used to be the dildo that would send you 15 paragraphs of why you need to take my guys. And I had one guy finally just call me to the carpet on it and say, if they're so fucking good, why are you trading them to me? I'm like, you know what? You're right.
I
right,
absolutely
I'm full of shit.
Stand people like that. Like,
and I was that guy. I will freely admit, like when someone would say no, I would try to talk them into a deal and sell them on it. And this guy, again, just smacked me straight and said, well, then you keep them if they're so damn good. And I was like, yeah, that's actually a pretty good point. So I got off that whole, like, trying to sell. Just go in straight up, be honest. I think you can get something pretty decent for Canning. But we're short on time here, and I want to get through these last two guys. Jesus Luzardo's up 6 points to 28%. Another guy we've talked about throughout the season here, because he continues to do well, is now health is the biggest question, right? It always has been with him.
That is the question.
But let's put that aside for a moment, because we don't know.
Mm-hmm.
If he stays healthy, do you think this is the awakening of Jesus Luzardo? Is he going to go full breakout? If I could guarantee you 180 innings, which would be a new high. He had 179 back in 2023. If I said guaranteed 180, where would you be on Jesus Luzardo? How much would you be interested in getting him?
So I have him in a dynasty league, and I've been in trade talks to trade him in a deal that would net me back Kyle Schwarber. And this is an on-base percentage league.
Philly for Philly, I like it.
So OBP, like, Schwarber is so much more valuable than he already is. I don't really need the power, though, and that's the hard part. The pitching, like, is something I need. I'm so afraid of Luzardo's injury history that I'm kind of entertaining, and like we're in fairly advanced talks on this one. It's just health. It's health. I mean,
ground ball rate up 11 points as well. I should point out, to a career high 48% from Luzardo. Walk rate down to 6.5%.
He is getting lucky, but like we're talking about, like, oh, he should have a barely sub 3 ERA as opposed to a barely sub 2.
The only thing that I would say he's getting lucky on, and I don't like to just blanket go lucky. The home run suppression's been a little out there. 3% homer to fly ball.
In Philly.
Right. And even with the improved ground ball rate, 3% homer to fly ball is pretty egregious. It will regress. So I'm with you on that.
Everything else, I mean, his strand rate is up.
That's up, but you can maintain a high 70s for a year in like a breakout full scale season.
It's the best zone contact of his career. His O swing is right around or a little bit above where it's been in his career, but down from last year.
Velo's up. Like
he's peppering the zone. Like, this is where the walk rate gains I actually believe in here.
Well, 112 location plus for Luzardo.
Yeah.
He's never been that guy. He's a 98 career. Like, the stuff has always kind of been there, and you can see flashes of it and all that. The fact that he's locating this year and doing it so well has been massive. I believe in the skills fully. The health, I have no idea.
Yeah,
but
and I would go for Luzardo. For me,
I'd go for him though.
Especially if you're in a 10 or a 12 team league, like, I think you buy high. I really do, because like if he does get hurt, there's going to be waiver wire value. But I think you just got to ride with these skills and hope to God he just stays healthy. But in many ways, this is the Royce Lewis of pitchers, right? It's the guy who, like, you're just dreaming.
He has a full season under his belt.
So maybe he's the Jazz Chisholm.
There you go.
Pitchers,
there you go.
Right?
I like that.
Where, like, I know he's going to get hurt, but there is that chance. And
I
think you just roll with it right now.
Now, this guy just went on the IL, which might be why this is maybe more doable here, because I think if this guy was still healthy, I don't even think I'd entertain it. But what about like Teoscar Hernandez for Jesus Luzardo? If the needs matched,
I think
you were trading Teoscar to get Luzardo,
I would want someone like that in that fourth, fifth round area.
Yeah. I think that there's something there. All right, last guy, AL Cy Young winner, Hunter Brown.
He's about to be.
I think so, man. I love Hunter Brown. I'm barely tongue in cheek with that AL Cy Young stuff. I love him. We're giving him a hard time this episode because you're talking about something else. But Nick Pollock, I still think, is out on him. I wonder if he's changed his tune recently because he's piling up another few good starts. But he's had some concerns with Hunter Brown, and I do not share those concerns. 3 straight starts with at least 9 Ks. He's up 6 points to 25%, 167 ERA, league best 178 FIP. 088 whip. Everything's cooking for Hunter Brown right now. What do we see in here? And is this the emergence of Brown?
I think you have to say that this screams for regression, but I think the question is regression to what?
And still very good in my opinion.
Yeah, like I think he could regress back to like a 3.20 ERA, and that's the
take that all day.
You're talking about a guy with a career best walk rate, career best home run rate. Yeah, maybe he is getting lucky in.
Sorry, 1 second. 6 points to 31% from 25%. Sorry about that. Go ahead.
You could say he's getting lucky in the strand rate. You could say he's getting lucky in the BABIP, but like he's also making some of this luck himself because he's got a 5.5% drop in zone contact while getting swings outside of the zone 4% more. He's filling up the zone. I think a lot of this is legitimate. Yes, he will regress. I don't think he is going to maintain a sub-2 ERA.
Sure.
But I think he could be a 3 flat ERA guy with like a 1 flat whip and maybe not a 31% strikeout rate, but a 28% strikeout rate. And
that's Studsville
walk rate. And yeah, he's a stud on a team that's going to win a lot of games. So yeah, I'm buying this.
Yeah, I'm fully bought in on Brown. I was bought in before the year started. So obviously the fact that he's popping off so far, I remain bought in. I just really love what he does. And listen, I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not influenced by the fact that his number one influence is Justin Verlander, who of course is my favorite pitcher of all time. He's from the Detroit area. The fact that he got to play with him had to have been one of the coolest things in the world for Hunter Brown. So I'm rooting for him. He looks amazing right now. And, not everything's gone well for Houston, but they've had enough go right that they're still just treading water there at 17-17. So they've been able to kind of paper over some issues. The fact that Yainer Diaz, Christian Walker, and Jose Altuve, none of those three are over 100 OPS plus. Some great pitching. And then Alvarez was under 100 as well. And now on the IL, some great pitching has helped paper over that from Hunter Brown and Hayden Wesneski, while Framber Valdez has been perfectly solid. So they're still in the mix over there in Houston for sure. But there you go. There's our strikeout improvers. Mackenzie Gore, we're buying, but Justin still has a little PTSD on it. Max Meyer, we're definitely buying. Logan Webb, we're buying the fact that he's a stud, maybe not all 8 points here, up to 29%. Griffin Canning, we got some concerns. Maybe not the Ks, but the fact that he has a 139 whip makes him very scary to maintain his studdom so far. Jesus Luzardo, we're all the way in. Health is the only concern, and since we can't predict that, we're going to buy in on the skills. And then Hunter Brown was probably the most aggressive of the group that we like because he hasn't even had health issues. Doesn't mean he can't get them, but so far in his career, he hasn't had them. We'll be back Thursday with Joe, assuming he's healthy. And if not, it'll be just the two of us. But we'll talk the walk rate improvers, and we'll see where some of those guys are at. But Justin, try to stay cool over there in the blazing hot California sun, and we'll talk on Thursday.
Take it easy.